powered by Alienware. It's hard to discuss the subject of gaming without hearing the name Nintendo, which means leave luck to heaven. This 126-year-old company from Japan continues to ensnare our imagination year after year after year. This is Dash from Curse, and today let's take a look at some surprising facts about Nintendo. It may be hard to believe, but since the Nintendo Famicom, the Japanese version of the Nintendo Entertainment System, or NES as we've grown to call it, only came out 33 years ago. What then were they doing all of those years, considering the company is 126 years old? Initially, they were known as the Nintendo Playing Card Company, who produced various card decks once a ban on playing cards was lifted in Japan. They varied from oddly rounded shapes to adult pinup cards. Focus shifted to video games later, but they have also been involved with various board games, toys, their own taxi service, and also owns what Japan calls love hotels for adult couples. Let that sink in. The Nintendo Famicom was not the first video game console from the company. Mitsubishi Electronics helped them in creating a series of game consoles called the Color TV game. The consoles did not have interchangeable cartridges, but offered variations on games like Pong, Breakout, and Racing. A bit later, Nintendo introduced the Game & Watch series of portable LCD games, which was also honored in various Smash Bros. Titles with the character Mr. Game & Watch. The original Mario Bros. Introduced the world to the character of Luigi, who was basically Mario in a green color scheme. The real reason Luigi wears green is because the turtle enemies, who were called shell creepers and not Koopas, also wore green, so that the programmers could save memory space. There was also, believe it or not, a number of gaming cereals in the wild, and they got in on the action with the Nintendo Cereal System. The box focused on the excitement found in Super Mario Bros. And The Legend of Zelda, and actually contained 2 bags of different cereal. The company that created the cereal that kids wanted to eat, Ralston, is better known for making Purina dog chow and Tidy Cat's cat litter. Ugh. Nintendo took ownership of the Seattle Mariners baseball team, located in the state of Washington, where Nintendo of America is located. President Hiroshi Yamauchi offered to purchase the team in order to keep them in the state. However, he personally never got to see the team play a game before his untimely death. Did you know they were involved with the very first time a video game was brought to space? A Russian astronaut named Alexander A. Zurabov brought along his Nintendo Game Boy to the Mir space station. His game of choice was also of Russian origin, the critically acclaimed Tetris. Kirby was also known as Tinkle Popo. Satoru Iwata thought it over and knew that it would never sell in English-speaking countries due to that, and changed it to the Kirby we know today. Some of the box art was also changed to make the cute pink puffball look meaner and more spunky, with an attitude for the same reason. Originally, Final Fantasy VII was being developed for the Super Nintendo. Square noticed that the game Chrono Trigger needed more polish and development time, and delayed Final Fantasy VII's creation up until the Nintendo 64 era. Once they found out that the Nintendo 64 was going to stick with cartridge-based games, Squaresoft jumped over to the Sony PlayStation for the additional space that the disc-based games could provide. This bold step actually helped Sony sell their console like crazy. Tetris Attack on the Super Nintendo has many different names and versions. Initially in Japan, it was known as Panel de Pon, with a fairy that was trying to save her friends and did not feature the various Yoshi creatures we're familiar with. Later, it was redeveloped for the Nintendo 64 as Pokemon Puzzle League, with all new Pokemon art and music. When it came time to release a Nintendo DS version, most of the iconic characters were removed, and it was released as Planet Puzzle League, with the added convenience of using the DS stylus. The Super Nintendo game Uniraces was cancelled after its initial production run because of Pixar. In the beginning, the game was developed to show the Super Nintendo could handle fast gameplay, like you see in Sega's Sonic the Hedgehog, but the company famous for Toy Story made a short called Red's Dream that featured a red unicycle as a character. Pixar sued Nintendo and DMA Design for having nearly identical characters, and they won and ordered Nintendo to stop production after only 300,000 copies were made. Now, legal troubles weren't limited to video games, however, as Nintendo also made bootleg Lego blocks, known as N and B block. They tried to feature some of the more rounded shapes and larger pieces. Nintendo actually won the case, and the blocks were a big hit in Japan. Thankfully, Lego and Nintendo have resolved their differences, and Lego video games have been successful. Well, that's it for today, but there are many other fascinating tidbits about Nintendo, and I want to hear what you found interesting about the company famous for making Mario. This has been Dash for Kurt saying thanks for watching and enjoy the game. Something is coming. Do you have what it takes to be a pro gamer? And are you ready to take your skills to the next level and win cool prizes? Visit thelab.gg to find out more.